Debt has a reputation for being dangerous, something to avoid at all costs. But the wealthy often see it differently, as a tool rather than a trap. Strange reputation. People fear debt, yet they notice how others panic while wealth quietly grows. Warn others. Yet the approach to borrowing isn't flashy. It's deliberate, methodical, and runs on careful observation. So the wealthy treat borrowing strategically, using it to grow their resources instead of controls it. For many, debt seems like a heavy burden, a trap that stifles opportunity. Feels like. For others, it becomes a tool, a way to multiply resources and manage risks. Becomes tool. The difference between ordinary earners and the wealthy is in how they handle similar income level. It comes down to deliberate choices, structured planning, and timing that shapes financial life. If these strategies are applied consistently, they accumulate slowly, creating compounding effects over time. Because understanding debt as a system rather than an isolated tool matters more than money alone. Debt used carelessly drains resources, but used wisely accelerates growth forward time. You enjoy the benefits of leverage only when debt is matched with planning and consistent future effort. But debt can create opportunity when aligned with income-producing assets and forward growth. The same borrowed money can either stagnate or expand wealth depending on the direction chosen. Different direction. The first method rich people use is leverage. Borrowing to multiply capital is timing. They borrow strategically, not to spend, but to acquire assets that produce more than loan costs. Save cash. Time not only affects borrowing costs, but also the potential upside when aligned with strategy. Main variable. Ownership begins with starting early on income-producing assets, giving borrowed money a chance to grow. Start sooner. This doesn't eliminate risk entirely, but it allows participation in wealth-building opportunities without unnecessary exposure. Remove risk. It simply ensures that borrowed money works alongside your plan. Rather than creating chaos, participation begins. And in doing so, small steps compound into meaningful long-term growth. Starting perfectly. The second approach is liquidity. Keeping cash accessible while assets continue producing returns is liquidity. Selling an asset triggers taxes and stops growth, while borrowing against it preserves participation. Future participation. Borrowing against productive assets allows wealth to keep working while you maintain access to available. The asset continues generating income even while you leverage it to fund new opportunities. Continues existing. This approach builds a bridge between current resources and future investments, creating a foundation to build upon. Money stays working for you when aligned with purpose and timing, preserving flexibility. Resetting zero. Third comes predictability. Understanding payments, inflation, and interest can make borrowing manageable and predictable. Some debts carry benefits like tax deductions, lowering costs and improving long-term outcomes. Change over. When payments are structured effectively, debt can feel easier to carry, not heavier. Over time. Easier carry. Over decades, disciplined borrowing can enhance growth while minimizing stress, supporting long-term wealth. Weight changes. The fourth principle is psychological. Structuring debt intentionally creates discipline and focus. Psychological constraints force planning, turning obligations into predictable steps rather than unexpected surprises. Planning. Regular obligations establish rhythm and structure in financial life, guiding intentional decision-making. Instead of impulsive borrowing, debt is used with intention and accountability, supporting goals. Intentional debt, when aligned with productive use, becomes a tool, a source of chaos. Consider two individuals with similar incomes making different borrowing choices. One cautious, one strategic. Similar salaries. Both are earning the same salary, but taking different approaches to leverage cautious spending. One avoids debt, paying it off immediately, but accumulating little beyond savings necessities. The other uses productive borrowing to acquire income-producing assets, growing their portfolio ownership decisions. Years later, the first remains dependent on earned income, tied to day-to-day work income. The first experiences limited flexibility and slower growth, constrained by rigid schedules and obligations. Flexibility. The second benefits from small cash flow streams supporting new investments and present choices. Neither path is inherently right or wrong, but strategy determines outcomes and opportunities universally right. What often magnifies results is not income alone, but the way borrowed money is directed magnifies direction. Used carelessly, debt accelerates stress and potential loss. Creating financial turbulence accelerates stress. Used thoughtfully, debt powers growth and flexibility, enabling deliberate compounding, and wealth grows slowly. The conversation around borrowing varies widely, but understanding it clearly improves perspective. Very widely. Financial maturity comes from recognizing how debt interacts with planning, income, and opportunity life design. The goal is moderation. Borrowing strategically when beneficial, not excessively borrow more. And perhaps reflection on past decisions helps refine future financial moves. Faster results. Money decisions shape lifestyle and long-term growth. Intentional choices create compounding effects. Lifestyle. Careful thinking about debt, timing, and purpose allows better questions and improved decision-making. Better questions. Subscribe the channel Rickify Doctrine for more information. Thanks for watching.